Greetings, everyone. Cryptodamus here again today, giving you a little astrology update for the week. There's some pretty significant astrological events coming up in the next couple of days, and I just want to give you a heads up on this stuff. Number one, tomorrow we've got Uranus. The planet Uranus is going to station retrograde at 8 degrees, 55 minutes Taurus, and that's a pretty big event. Whenever a planet stations and switches directions, you get a stronger effect from that planet, and you can also get a kind of a trend reversal of some type. With the planet Uranus, we're expecting to see some pretty dramatic, unexpected surprise events. I know that President Biden is supposed to give a talk on a student loan debt relief. There could be some big surprises there. What worries me the most right now is the situation in Ukraine with this nuclear power plant, where there seems to be some actual shelling and combat operations between the Ukrainian armed forces and the Russian army around this nuclear power plant. Uranus is famous for chaotic, surprise, unexpected, dramatic events. And so we're all hoping that we don't see any major dramatic problems there, but it's definitely a huge concern. We could also, of course, see some unexpected, sharper moves in the markets, either today or really over the next couple of days. It doesn't always come right on the day of the station. The effect can be several days before, as well as several days after. And I just want to also just give you guys a little heads up on my website, the Astro Crypto Report. If you like this kind of astrology information, especially my market research for cryptocurrencies, check out astrocryptoreport.com. I've got some information on my system called the Astro TA system. My Patreon group is really where I do the super detailed analysis. So go ahead and check that out. That's for paid subscribers. And I also have educational courses on here. I have an introduction to financial astrology. I also offer private consultations and tutorials. So go ahead and check out the astrocryptoreport.com, folks. Now let's go to my favorite astrology software, Luna astrology software. So in addition to Uranus stationing tomorrow, we've got some pretty difficult astrology coming up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that I want to talk about. Let's skip ahead to Friday, August 26th. We've got two important aspects that day that are both pretty rough. And Chairman Jerome Powell is going to be speaking at the annual Jackson Hole event for central bankers around the world. We think he could have some sharp comments that are going to affect the markets. What we're seeing is we've got a square between Uranus at 18 Leo and, Uranus at 18 Taurus and Venus at 18 Leo. And that certainly brings some unexpected moves in the markets. We also see a square between the Sun at 3 degrees Virgo and Mars at 3 degrees Gemini. So Friday the 26th looks like a rough day in general, with a kind of a sharp, unpredictable energy. The Sun, Mars is more of a specifically kind of edgy, aggressive energy. We may see more outbursts, angry outbursts. We may see more arguments and conflicts there. And that's going to kind of also set up and head into the new moon, which is the next day. And that's the new moon itself is also going to be in a tight square. So let's go to the next day here, which is August 27th. And you can see this is really interesting because I'm going to toggle back here a bit. The new moon itself is at 4 degrees Virgo. And that's going to be in an extremely tight square to the planet Mars. Whoops, I overshot it a little bit. So let's take another look at that. Pretty much right about there. There we go. 4 degrees 3 minutes Virgo is going to be that new moon. Well, that's going to be in a square at 4 degrees 0 Gemini, Mars at 4 degrees 0 Gemini. So that's an orb of 0.03. And that's almost exact. So that's going to continue that really edgy, angry, aggressive, conflict-prone energy that starts on Friday with the Sun square and continues into the next day as the new moon, as Mars and the Sun stay in that square, and then the new moon hits as well. So that's kind of rough. And certainly we could see some rough effects from Chairman Powell, whatever words he has to say at the event on Friday. The next day unfortunately doesn't get any better, because over that weekend we start to see Venus at 19 Leo is coming into a square to Saturn at 20 degrees Aquarius. And that is going to hit perfection the next day. Excuse me, did that. That's going to come into perfection the next day. And that really indicates also not good for the markets, because Venus is a wealth and money planet. And in the opposition to Saturn, it indicates limitations and challenges and difficulties. So that's an unpleasant aspect. So we've got quite a few unpleasant aspects, August 26th, 27th, and 28th. So get ready for this, guys. And also, like I said, Uranus is going to be stationing retrograde tomorrow. And that actually ended up being a local top signal in 2020, August of 2020. Cryptocurrency markets really topped out in the middle of August, right on that Uranus station to retrograde. In 2021, we didn't see a big effect on the markets. We actually had a rally in crypto markets in August. However, we saw that unexpected collapse of the Afghan government as the Taliban stormed into Kabul. So we can expect those surprise, unexpected news events. And again, hopefully we'll see some debt relief, student loan debt relief. I really support that, because I think the system is completely broken, and people pay back those loans 2, even 3 times over the course of their loan, and they may not even fully pay off the actual principal. So I really support the student loan debt forgiveness and relief. So I wish I had better news for you. There are some favorables actually for Bitcoin, which is a little bit interesting. There are some favorables for Bitcoin that could offset some of these problems. I mean, the new moon itself is actually in a trine to the Bitcoin natal Mars. So that's somewhat favorable, even though I don't think it's able to override the square to Mars and Gemini. You've also got Mercury is square the Bitcoin natal Pluto on Saturday, which is a problem. However, the sun is going to be trine the Bitcoin Mars on the 28th. So it's a bit mixed, a little bit harder and tricky to call for Bitcoin specifically, but overall, the general astrology picture is pretty bad. It indicates a lot of challenges, difficulties, especially with arguments and conflicts, and dealing with anger, frustration, and resentment. So we got to try to keep a cool head here and not react, and really think things through because of this edgy aspect. We want to try to keep ourselves calm, cool, and collected over the next 4 or 5 days as these strong squares to Mars kind of come into play. And, you know, meditation is always really good for that. And yeah, just, I mean, you know, on the other hand, sometimes the air needs to be cleared, right? Sometimes a big argument, a big blow up is necessary to sort of clear the air, okay? So that can be okay, that can be constructive, that can be positive too. But we have to, you know, be careful not to let it escalate out of control. And I think that's always the problem with really tight, hard aspects from Mars. So, you know, it may be time to clear the air. It may be time to have some hard words, okay? Maybe time to have an argument and let some, you know, issues that may have been simmering below the surface, they may come up now to be dealt with. And sometimes that's okay to have conflict, but we want to try to handle it in a healthy, skillful way, okay? And not let the fire burn out of control, not let the aggression get out of control, not fly off the handle and into something really destructive. And that's always the danger here. And that's also a danger, you know, in this international conflict between Russia and the Ukraine when nuclear power plants are involved. So we got to hope that those guys are able to de-escalate the situation around this nuclear power plant, because this is really putting the whole world, this is a threat to the entire world. So I think it's going to be a very edgy, you know, challenging, stressful week based on these aspects. And again, I wish I had better news for you, but I think, this is the kind of year that it's been. We've got a lot of these pockets of very stressful energies. So we also know that new moons tend to we can get a bounce in the markets going into the full moon. And certainly we could see that with Bitcoin because it is in that trine position to the Bitcoin natal Mars, which is at 5 degrees Capricorn. So if we do get a pump there, that might be an opportunity to short, because typically we tend to see a weaker market after the new moon energy, and we often see a sell-off though in the days following the new moon. So that tends to be one of the patterns we're watching. Well, guys, I hope that was helpful information for you. And again, please like and subscribe to my YouTube, and go ahead and check out my website, astrocryptoreport.com. And if you're not already following me on Twitter, my handle is @astrocryptoguru. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great week, and we'll do another update soon. Jesus.